What if I say that the universe will help you achieve your dream, but only if you promise to follow your heart, because your heart will lead to your destiny. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, The Niceless Himansu, and I'm your host Himansu. And on this channel we talk all things about anime, books, spirituality, religion, psychology, fitness, and everything that crosses our mind, because this is Niceless. So a long time ago I finished reading this book, The Alchemist, written by Paulo Coelho. I hope I'm pronouncing the name right. And now that I've finished it, honestly, now I see that why so many people love this, because it's one of those books that seems simple on the surface, but the more you think about it, the more you give time on this book, the more deeper it gets. For those who haven't read this book follows a story of a young shepherd named Santiago. One day he starts having a recursive dream about a treasure in Egyptian pyramids. Most people would ignore a dream like that. Santiago decides to do something crazy. He leaves behind everything familiar and goes on a journey to find that treasure. That's basically the entire plot. Sounds simple, right? It is simple. The magic of this book is not in the destination. It's in the learnings he learns along the way. One of my favorite ideas from this book is called personal legend. It is basically the life you are meant to live, dream you genuinely want, the thing that keeps calling you even when you try to ignore it. According to this book, most people know what they want when they are young, but as they grow older, fear starts to take over. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of losing what they already have. So they settle and they stop chasing what they actually wanted. And honestly, that part hit me, because I think a lot of us can relate to that. It's starting a business, maybe start creating content, maybe it's becoming an artist, maybe it's something completely different. Most people don't fail because they are not capable. They fail because they are afraid of failure itself. And The Alchemist talks about it in a very simple language. Another thing that I loved about this book is the way it talks about obstacles, because Santiago's journey isn't easy. Okay, it's a complete roller coaster. Things go extremely wrong. He gets robbed, spoiler alert, sorry, he gets robbed and so much more, and in the end he gets beaten as well. But every setback ends up teaching him something so valuable, and I think that's one of the biggest lesson in this book. Sometimes the thing that looks like a failure is just a way of universe preparing you for what's coming next. At that time it feels terrible, but in the end it makes all sense. And it just reminds me a quote of creator of Apple. Steve Jobs quoted that you can only connect the dots backward. I mean, once you experience all the obstacles and worries and achieve a point in your life, you will start making dots backward, and it will all start making sense. Now, I do want to mention something. If you're expecting a fast-paced story with lots of action and crazy plot twist, this is not that kind of book. I'm sorry to say that. It's more like a conversation. I mean, you will feel being on a journey with that person. This is a kind of book that makes you stop and think about specific scenes and conversations that kid had. Some people absolutely love it, people like me, but for some people it might be a very slow story. Personally, I enjoyed it because I wasn't reading it for the story alone. I was reading it for the ideas, and the ideas stayed with me even after I finished all these pages. My biggest takeaway from The Alchemist is pretty simple. Don't ignore the things that matter to you. Most people spend years waiting for the perfect time, perfect opportunities, the perfect conditions, the perfect moment. But life doesn't really work like that. At some point you have to take your first step, even if you're afraid, even if you're scared, even if you're uncertain, even if you don't know where this road is going to lead, because you will never discover what's possible if you never start. So would I recommend The Alchemist? Absolutely, especially if you are new to reading. The language is simple, the book is pretty short, not that thick. Lessons are easy to understand, and there's a very good chance that you will find at least one idea that will stick to you for life. Overall, I'll give The Alchemist 8.5 out of 10. So that's it for the video. If you have already read this book, comment down your favorite lesson or learning from this book. And if you haven't read this book, maybe this is your sign to pick this up and read it. So see you in the next video. This is Nisla Simansu and I'm Himansu. Bye bye.